Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, given a compressed schedule for this morning, we ask for your support to tailor your interventions mainly to issues for discussion and only to keep your interventions to no more than 3 minutes. Thank you. But I guess we have had a good start yesterday, so we'll begin with the interventions as we will now continue with deliberations on agenda item 3C, safe and inclusive transport and mobility. I would now like to invite any comments on agenda 3C if you have. Otherwise, just a quick reminder for those joining us via the e-conferencing platform Kudo for the first time today, to request for the floor, please kindly click on the request to speak button. When your request is accepted by the Secretariat and you are called upon to take the floor, kindly click on the mic on and camera on buttons on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. Kindly release the mic when you complete your intervention. Now, the first speaker, I would like to invite from the delegation of China. You have the floor. Sorry, China, we cannot hear you. We still can't hear you. I'm afraid not. We still can't hear you. I was made to understand that the delegation of Pakistan, China, we will come back to you once we can get you back on, once we can hear you. I think there are some technical difficulties. Can I just find out from the delegation of Pakistan, as I was made to understand that you have requested for the floor this morning? May I know if you are still interested to speak? I don't see any response from Pakistan. China, can we try again? I would like to invite our delegation from China to take the floor. Still can't hear you. I'm sorry, China. We will move on to the delegation of Bangladesh. We will come back to you in a bit, China. I would now like to invite the delegation of Bangladesh to take the floor.
Thank you. Very good morning to all of you. Uh, for safe and inclusive transport mobility, I would like to inform that we have the strategic transport plan for Dhaka for 2016 to 2035, and now we are operating. We are constructing bus rapid transit from Gazipur to airport, and at the same time, for mass rapid transit, that is the metro rail, we are introducing, and we are hopeful that by 2022 it will be operational in Dhaka city. And we are also two more line, MRT line 1 and MRT line 5 north, that is ongoing. And we are also doing some rationalization for the bus routed and company based bus operation. And for passenger and freight movement by waterway, it is now increasing in Bangladesh. And uh, we are also introducing hybrid vehicle, and both private and public vehicles run with CNG. For an electric vehicle industry has been established in Bangladesh, and we think that the production will be started soon. So, and also walkway and eco park along the circular waterway of Dhaka, we are likely to introduce. Thank you.
Thank you, the delegation of Bangladesh. China, may I request that you refresh your browser and try to log on so that, perhaps that will help. And ask for the floor after you've done that. Thank you. Shall we do that now? China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, delegates. China appreciates the efforts made by ASCAP on regional ferry safety over the years and attaches great importance to the role played by ASCAP in this regard. Over the past 15 years, the Chinese government has taken practical measures to raise technical standards for passenger ship safety and strengthen safety management, resulting in substantial improvement in passenger ship safety and continuous decrease in the number of accidents and related casualties. China has also participated in IMO's work on domestic ferry safety. China supports technical cooperation projects proposed by ASCAP and IMO on the development of model rules for domestic passenger vessel safety and application guidelines on ferry safety network data on learning platform and the capacity building, and will provide technical and financial support to the best of its ability. Thank you, Chair.
谢谢. I would like now to call upon, can I just check any other countries who would like to speak on this agenda item before we move on? I would now like to call upon Cambodia. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, to allow us to raise about the main point of the difficulty of the challenge to tackle with the road safety issue in the transport sector in Cambodia. I think this issue is very crucial that we have a strong, heavy difficulty to change the behavior of the road user to take attention while they're driving on the roads. And especially in Cambodia, even we have taken a lot of measures to make the people to aware or to educate them about the road safety issue. And even we have the road traffic law in hand, but we still face with this issue. The people die every day, around 5 people on the road. That's why we suggest, and even we have a lot of development partner, civil association like AIP, the World Bank, ADB, UNDP, and also ESCAP help us, but we still face this issue. That why we request all the development partner to help us and to help us to redress this issue. But we have a good point that after we see that the rate of the days on the road increased in 2019, and our government take a new measure that we increase the amount of pay of fining for the people who abuse the road traffic law, and then the rate the rate days decrease rapidly. And also now we have the problem with the road condition, with the rainfall, floods last month, that the condition of the road is not good, and then the people cannot use the road easily. So we, in terms of we thank so much for every development partner to help us, and we suggest that all the development partner to help us to continue to help us to redress this issue as well as soon as possible. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, the delegation of Cambodia. May I find out from the floor if there's anyone else who, any other countries who would be interested to speak on this agenda item? I see none. Can we, I would like to call upon the Monash University to take the floor.
Madam Chair, good morning. Safe and inclusive transport and mobility is quite an important issue. And on this aspect, we would like to highlight the aspect of accessibility to all, especially in railways. I would like to highlight in Australia, it is regarded that 3.8 million commuters will be of age of 65 or over in 2017, and by 2057 it will increase it to 8.8 million or older passengers. This will impact significantly on the accessibility of rail transportation, especially since the railway is going to be one of the main access point, public transport access point. About 50% of men and 52% of the women aged 65 and over will have some sort of disability, and therefore it is quite critical to we look into this particular aspect. Monash University Institute of Railway Technology conducted an independent review of two of the standards available in Australia, the Disability Standard for Accessible Public Transport and Disability Access to Premises of Buildings standards in 2000, which was developed in 2010, and highlighted a significant gap between what is available currently and the requirement. And we have formed a multidisciplinary research team called Rail Accessibility Research Group. And this is quite an important point that I would like to highlight in this case. I have noticed that the focus at this particular forum has been road safety. But what we had to do is see whether the lessons learned from road safety can be transferred into other modes, including railways. Significant modal shift has been highlighted from road to mass transit. The accidents in roads do affect number of people killed or injured, but in a similar accident happens in railway can affect a larger proportion of commuters, and therefore the focus also should be in that aspect. It was also noted the enthusiasm among various participating countries regarding smart transport system. The significant construction of new railway infrastructure also should be somewhat of the link to these interests, and how many of these constructions are using smart transport system should be explored. I would suggest that monitoring real-time commuter counting or movement to minimize crowds in railway stations should be one of the aspects that should be expanded or investigated, and also continuous monitoring of railway infrastructure to improve safety and efficiency should be also somewhat of the incorporated into these new developments. So this would actually help to improve the railway environment in the participating countries. So my suggestion to consider in the regional action program by UNSCAP to see whether the Asia Pacific Road Safety Observatory can be expanded into other modes, especially railways, and also linking of smart transport system to some of the new developments which are coming in into the smart transport environment, and the researchers and developers involved in this aspect. Finally, I would actually acknowledge and congratulate UNSCAP initiative to enhance cooperation among transport research and training institutes and government agencies that can be brought in together to understand what are the new smart transport systems are being developed in this aspect. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. May I find out if there's any other speakers on this agenda item? Okay, I see none. While a summary of the deliberations on this item will be included in the chair's summary, in general, consensus that I can discern from interventions and from the pre-session consultations on this agenda item is that, one, having considered the issues of safe and inclusive transport and mobility, the committee recognizes the urgency of improving road traffic safety and calls for enhanced regional cooperation and concrete activities to accelerate progress on the relevant sustainable development goals in the next phase of the regional action program. Secondly, the committee also observes that safety in other transport modes, such as maritime and domestic ferry safety, could also be addressed in the regional cooperation efforts, and recommends that its members and associate members work with the Secretariat in identifying the pressing transport safety needs in the region. And Thirdly, the committee also recommends that the fourth ministerial conference accord more comprehensive attention to the accessibility, inclusion, inequality, and gender aspects of transport and mobility in the design of the next phase of the Regional Action Programme. Now, this brings us to the conclusion of discussions under Agenda Item C, Item 3C. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, let us now turn to Agenda Item 4, Accelerating Transformative Action in Transport for the Delivery of Sustainable Development Goals as presented to you in documents SCAP/2020/5 and SCAP/2020-INF/2. Can I now invite the Secretariat to introduce the key points of this agenda item?
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Under this agenda item, the Secretariat will present two documents intended to provide an overview of the key issues to be considered in providing guidance for the development of the next phase of the Regional Action Programme and for the preparation of the fourth Ministerial Conference on Transport. Next slide, please. The pre-session document SCAP/CTR/2020/5 is meant to consolidate the key points and findings of the item 3 and its sub-items and discuss them in a broader context of the Sustainable Development Goals, the Decade of Action, and the acceleration needed to mitigate the damaging effects of the pandemic on the progress made with the Sustainable Development Goals so far. On this basis, the document goes on to propose a conceptual framework for the next phase of the Regional Action Programme. This document was presented at the informal consultation on this item on the 29th of October 2020, and the participants provided some preliminary feedback. The summary of the outcomes is available on our website, while some of the key points raised during the informal consultations on this item will be referred to in this presentation as well. The committee under this agenda item will be invited to consider the proposed directions and thematic areas and to provide further recommendation for the draft Regional Action Programme to be considered by the Ministerial Conference. Next slide, please. Furthermore, the Secretariat has issued an information note in connection with this item on the preparations for the Ministerial Conference. As per Commission Resolution 73/4, the Executive Secretary has been requested to convene a Ministerial Conference on Transport in 2021, which is tentatively scheduled for the 27th to the 29th of October 2021 in Bangkok. The conference is expected to adopt a ministerial declaration reflecting key regional priorities such as inclusive, resilient, and sustainable transport development, as well as to adopt the next phase of the Regional Action Programme for the period 2022 to 2026. The conference will also adopt recommendations on policy actions and initiatives, and it will be organized with ministerial and senior official segments. On the basis of the recommendations of this committee, taking into account the evaluation of the current phase of the Regional Action Programme, which will be launched in the first quarter of 2021, and in consultation with members and associate members of ESCAP at an expert group meeting that will be organised in mid-2021, the draft of the next phase of the Regional Action Programme will be developed. In relation to the evaluation of the implementation of the Regional Action Programme Phase 1, the Secretariat invites Member States to nominate national focal points to contribute to this process. The Secretariat will contact Member States on this in early 2021. Next slide, please. A few highlights now of the document entitled Accelerating Transformative Action in Transport for the Achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. The document starts with this figure that you see on your slide, and the information, the data is from 2019, and already at that time, the data showed that the region is not progressing fast enough and that sufficient data was lacking for many of the indicators. The pandemic has further compromised member states' capacities to push forward with the goals. Concerning transport in particular, the document highlights that only few of the goals have very specific transport-related targets and indicators, and that all other links to transport, while obvious, are not measured in the indicator framework. Therefore, the document posits that the transport sector could do more to make concrete and measurable contributions to as many sustainable development goals as possible, if not all of them. Importantly, the development of metrics and methodologies to assist acceleration of progress through policy development is highlighted as being of critical importance. Next slide, please. The document then goes on to summarize the key challenges to sustainable transport, drawing from the detailed analysis of other documents. This includes the projected increase in greenhouse gas emissions from transport. The slide and data on this has been provided by the International Transport Forum. The persisting connectivity challenges as captured in ESCAP's Transport Connectivity Index of 2019, and the wider socioeconomic impacts of transport on society and on people, namely reflecting on the elements of inclusive transport as mentioned in the previous agenda item. Next slide, please. Based on these considerations, the document proposes a basic structure for the next phase of the Regional Action Programme, which clusters the topics across the three pillars of sustainable development, making it then easier to link activities to specific sustainable development goals. During the informal consultation on this item, it was proposed to add the element of digitalization under the economic pillar as indicated and highlighted in the slide. It was also noted that maintaining the traditional focus areas such as infrastructure and operational land and maritime connectivity, road safety, and urban transport in the next phase of the Regional Action Programme will be necessary, while also considering a more holistic approach to strengthen the environmental and social dimensions of transport development and operations in the design of outcomes and activities. Next slide, please. The document briefly covers possible means of implementation as well, including notably the operationalization of the links of transport across all SDGs, improved capacity needs assessment, in particular for national and sub-regional capacity building and technical assistance, as well as improved research, data collection, and leveraging of expertise through partnerships and multi-stakeholder engagement. To be precise, ESCAP and its member states are already working in this direction within the current mandate. what is proposed here for the design of the next regional action program is to design it in a way that further facilitates and supports progress. Next slide, please. Against this background, the committee is now invited to discuss and consider the proposed conceptual framework for the next phase of the Regional Action Programme, to provide relevant guidance and recommendations so that the Secretariat can proceed with the preparations for the Ministerial Conference accordingly. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Abel, for the introduction. I now invite comments on agenda item 4 from the floor. Since I don't see any requests for the floor, I would like to, there's still no requests, so I would like to move on to the summary of the deliberations on this item, which again is, I can discern from interventions from the pre-session consultations on this agenda item. Firstly, the committee notes the invitation by the Secretariat to nominate national focal points to evaluate the implementation of the Regional Action Programme and Sustainable Transport Connectivity in Asia and the Pacific Phase 1 from 2017 to 2021 in the first quarter of 2021 as mandated in Commission Resolution 73/4. Secondly, the committee, having considered the proposed priority areas for the draft of the next phase of the Regional Action Programme in the context of the Decade of Action for the Sustainable Development Goals and the need to accelerate progress in that regard, recommends that the traditional focus areas such as infrastructure and operational connectivity, road safety and urban transport be maintained in the next phase of the Regional Action Programme, while also considering a more holistic approach to strengthen the environmental and social dimensions of transport development and operations in the design of outcomes and activities. And lastly, the committee requests the Secretariat to take the appropriate steps to convene substantive consultations with members and associate members on developing the draft of the next phase of the Regional Action Programme in advance of the 4th Ministerial Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the conclusion of these discussions under agenda item 4. Let us now turn to agenda item 5, other matters. I would like to invite any comments on agenda item 5 from the floor. Would any delegations like to raise any additional issues under this agenda item? I hope I'm not going too fast, but should there be any... Okay, I recognize the delegation from Cambodia. You have the floor.
Thanks, Madam. In this section of other matter, I would like to mention about our point on the matching of infrastructure Even we afford to construct and maintain transport infrastructure in the framework of regional or universal connectivity, but the COVID-19 pandemic and natural disaster like flooding or drafting interrupt the activity of trade, tourism, and investment that they affect to the economic growth and they increase the unemployment that affect to the policy of poverty reduction goal. And so our opinion, we would like to strongly suggest that all together to assist us to help to restore all the damage infrastructure in the flood last month that the flood damage around 50,000 hectares of field rice and fruit plant, and also the flood damage around more than 1,000 kilometers of infrastructure in Cambodia. And also we face with the road safety, and for the gender equality, our government have a strong commitment to redress this issue, that all the institution, all the level of the institution in Cambodia, we have many women to be there to tackle with all the issue in the region, in the area of they are responsible. And so we suggest that ESCAP and also all the development partner to assist us and assist for together to redress from the pandemic of COVID-19 and natural disaster. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, the delegation of Cambodia. Any other requests for the floor? I guess since yesterday we had a quite robust intervention from the delegations, and I think most of you have exhausted your interventions then. Since I see no more requests for the floor, I guess it is now the end of our time for this morning. This brings us to the conclusion of our discussions under agenda item 5. The interventions heard will be reflected in the chair's summary. And before we adjourn, I would like to invite the Secretariat for any other announcements. Wai Ming, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Distinguished delegates, thank you so much for leaving more time to the Secretariat to prepare the report. So I'd like to inform delegates that the report of the sixth session of the Committee on Transport will be distributed electronically by email to all participants and also posted in Kudo platform around 1 p.m. Bangkok time. The draft report will also be made available outside the Escape Hall for on-site participants at around 1 p.m. Bangkok time. The delegates will have 1 hour to review the draft report, and at 2 p.m., we shall convene one last time in this room to adopt the report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Ren. Before we end the session this morning, I would like to take this opportunity to wish all the Hindus a happy Deepavali, because I won't be seeing you this afternoon, I'm afraid. So again, I would like to reiterate happy Deepavali tomorrow to all the Hindus, whether you're in Bangkok, present here physically or virtually. So I guess we will now adjourn for lunch, an early lunch, and a quite long one, before we have a view of the report and adopt it at about 2 o'clock Bangkok time. So have a good break. Till then, thank you. Oh, sorry, I see the delegation of India. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would also like to take this opportunity to wish one and every one here and across the globe a very happy Diwali. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. See you then.